Oh, shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a post-Halloween edition of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's. And we're old, and we don't know anything about the games. We don't care, because we're old. That's how getting old works,
Hold on,
John.
I thought Casey did some research.
Casey read a Wikipedia article. It doesn't count.
No, I did not do research.
Sorry, Casey's daughter downloaded a Wikipedia
shouted
article.
at me.
So if you like old man rants, stick around. If not, buyer beware. Joining me tonight, first up from Manhattan, New York City, please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Hello, Eric.
As one of our viewers tonight pointed out, John, you're wearing a salmon shirt. That's different.
Salmon.
Norm. Yeah. Love it. Next up tonight from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
You're wearing purple. Are you
Yes.
to my daughters? Because that's their two colors.
We're
I do
very
like me some
comfortable in our masculinity.
I like it.
So
I have a
what we
pink
do.
shirt somewhere. I work from home now, so I don't have a reason to wear a shirt with buttons on it anymore. But you know,
when you're on like a meeting, do you ever feel like
no, I throw on.
underdressed?
It depends on who I'm with. If it's my department, I'm just in a t-shirt. If it's like somebody from outside of the company or somebody like a big, like I'll throw buttons on, but I'm not buttoning it, John.
What's the title of the person internally where you're like, I should put on a shirt?
CIO.
Now, see, pretty much like.
That's my emergency shirt.
No, for me, it's like if I at all like kind of above me. If it's parallel, you're getting whatever I happen to have on that day. But I shower
Party
every day
down
and
below.
I put nice shirts on, John. You know, like t-shirts.
You're trimming your beard.
I'm not wearing like Brock Lesnar versus Candyman t-shirt.
You're getting your beard trimmed up.
Oh, I'm meticulous about my beard trimming, John.
Yeah, I'm just now realizing mine got a little shaggy on the sides. So.
I trim my ear, nose, and eyebrows once a week, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. You're
It's
over the age of 40.
necessity.
It's you don't want it to look outrageous.
When I was in 7th grade, I had a Spanish teacher who had so much ear hair, it was distracting. Like I'm convinced he had some kind of ear hair related condition. And we used to like whisper about him behind his back. And now I think about him all the time because I'm just like, dude, I get it now.
Yeah.
I just
He
got
just,
a
like,
new
gave
nose hair
up,
trimmer.
Yeah.
What's that, John?
I mean, did he just give up, you think? He was just like, I'm never winning
Adults
this.
in the 90s didn't care, dude. Like this grooming,
Yeah.
men grooming themselves is a pretty recent update.
I don't know. I feel like some people always cared.
Yeah.
This
I
part
assure
of
you my dad
eyebrows.
I assure you
gonna
my
say-
dad never trimmed his eyebrows or his ear hair
Yeah.
in the 90s.
I'm too afraid to try this part of my eyebrows, but like I'll take care of the monobrow when it shows
No,
up.
it's easy. You just like you brush them up till they're kind of like sticking up, and then you just like just take the ends off. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I nearly have a heart attack every time I do it, but it's worth it.
The eyebrows, I just do the like stray. It's like if I get one of the wacky ones that's like really.
I push them up, and then zzz, right across top. Pro
Yeah,
tip, John.
That's nerve wracking, man. If you.
I've been doing it for years, and I haven't screwed up yet. Knock on wood. So
Yikes. Okay.
I'm the
once
age
in a while, I
where
think about putting like a line in it.
I'm the age where I haven't been. I obviously got my hair cut for at least a year and a half. I had to trim, I think, but every time I did go in, even for like the year or two leading up to that, they're always like, "You want me to trim those eyebrows, right?"
Yes. Anyway, that's how we're gonna start our Five Nights at Freddy's discussion with old man stuff.
It's what all the kids at Five Nights at Freddy's were talking about. Their ear hair.
Thematic.
Hey, Matthew Lillard gets it.
He does.
Matthew Lillard, old man Matthew Lillard with hair, looks exactly like one of my uncles, and it's really creepy.
I meant to look this up. How old? He's 53. Okay.
He's got to be in his 50s, yeah.
Well, so it's funny. I mean, just to jump ahead, he is the father of another character in the film who's in her like mid to late 20s. Like he was like a young dad.
Sort of.
Well,
Also, spoiler alert.
when I saw it on screen, I was like, wait a second, he's not old enough to be her dad. And then, Eric getting, death bombed over there.
Goddamn dog. All right, let's do it. Let's discuss Five Nights at Freddy's.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Got the prime time. Main feature.
How's New York City Halloween, John?
I mean, it's a shit show. It's like, I mean, in like people are out on the streets. Dem streets are crowded. So,
But
it's
do you even make it to the streets?
Yeah, no, we do. Because our building doesn't really do trick-or-treating. It's not, it's a smaller building now. And, yeah, I mean, my neighborhood, there's like known good areas you go to, and some of them are just fucking packed. But it's weird because it'll be like waves where the street is like, you can't even walk down the sidewalk. And then 10 minutes later, it's not that bad.
A weird amount of people this year in my neighborhood giving out full-size Snickers or like full-size candy bars, which like, I get it that when I was a kid, that was a dream, but my 5-year-old does not need a full-size candy bar. John.
Yeah.
That would kill her.
I don't know that my kids got any this year, which like typically
Like
they would.
half the goddamn bag. Some people are handing out like bags full of crap, like goodie bags. So I was like, what? You people have too much disposable income. You should give it to me.
There you go.
All right, John.
Mm-hmm.
Please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, and I don't have a pronunciation here, but I'm going to go with oneirology. Oneirology. In the field of psychology, oneirology is the subfield of the scientific study of dreams. Yeah. So that's it. It's the study of dreams, oneirology. I was a little skeptical that this is like, I think this is like, you're not getting like a degree in oneirology at most established universities, let's say. But, yeah, it's a thing. I'd never heard that word before. Oneirology.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Five Nights at Freddy's, John. You went to the theater to see this.
Guys.
And then we discovered it was streaming, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
I cannot believe that I was the only one that went to the theater. Like, my experience of this film, so different from your experiences of this film.
Yeah, I bet.
All right. I know a little bit. Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, Casey is going to definitely
My
have to
understanding is that this lore they've created is very different from the games.
Well, the guy. So all right. I mean, do we want to do the plot or do we want to do like backstory?
I don't give a shit about the games. The games are some dude just made the games and they were a big deal.
His name is Scott Cawthon. Cawthon. Cawthon.
There is lore, and they take it seriously.
No, I understand that, but for the purposes of this show, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so he has been trying...
essentially like an FMV game where you sit and you watch monitors and you're trying to like help somebody escape or something.
Which like is sort of the setup of the film, at least at some level.
Its most base, yeah.
So the game developer Scott Cawthon, he has been working with various parties to get a version of this put on into film since at least 2015. It was like slated to go forward, I want to say like right before the pandemic or maybe even during the pandemic, and it basically fell apart. It actually looks like 2017 Blumhouse like sort of swooped in and picked up the property from someone who was developing it before. And so this comes out, it's a Blumhouse joint, but there's like other producers attached here. This isn't sort of pure Blumhouse. It's directed. So Scott Cawthon, he gets a writing credit alongside Seth Cuddeback, and then the director is a woman, Emma Tammy, who also gets a screenwriting credit. So Emma Tammy, you guys may remember, we were talking about this with Rachel the other day. She directed The Wind. Remember that? It was like a
Oh,
indie
that's right. I kept forgetting that. The
Yeah.
Wind is
Western. Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, I think The Wind might be her only other feature.
great. Fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I heard people talking about the production background of this movie and sort of indicated like, Emma Tammy, they like was brought into like, put it this way, they weren't trying to necessarily get a name director because when you're talking about something
No,
like
right.
Five Nights at Freddy's, it's like
It was somebody that had done a horror film and they were given a shot or something.
she's
basically.
done a fair bit of TV. It looks like something called the Left Right Game. Oh, it's a podcast series actually.
I mean,
Hello.
that's the Blum way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Blum's not going out and hiring like big name directors. They're trying to pluck middle tier people that they think might have potential.
Totally. I mean, now the one counterpoint to that is they are partnered very closely with James Wan now, who is both producing and then directing some. In any event, so yeah, I mean, the basic outline of this is that we have a dad, or excuse me, not a dad, a brother, Mike. I didn't clock this during the movie, but his name's Mike Schmidt. I don't know if that means anything to anyone who's not from Philadelphia, but Hall of Fame third baseman Mike Schmidt from the 70s and 80s Phillies. Mike Schmidt, played by Josh Hutcherson, who I had really only seen he's the male lead in the Hunger Games films.
Ah, that's where I know him from. He's
He
PETA.
He was a child actor too, though. So I've seen more of his stuff just from that era when Delaney was growing up.
He's definitely been around. He's a known quantity, let's say. So you
Those
have
Hunger Games movies. No,
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. You have Mike. You have his younger sister Abby, who he is now in charge of. He's like her guardian. I mean, I was actually curious how old Josh Hutcherson was because in the movie, I think they're like hoping he comes off as like early 20s or something. He's 31. So
yeah, no, that's what I would have asked. Yeah.
Abby's like 9 or 10, maybe even 8, something like that. Josh Hutcherson, Mike has trouble keeping a job, so he finally, and like whatever, we'll get to his backstory in a second, but he has trouble keeping a job. He winds up in Matthew Lillard's staffing firm, and Matthew Lillard's like, actually, I got this one job for a guy like you, and it's being the security guard overnight at this old, basically like a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese. I think they even call it a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese in the movie. It's called like Freddy's something or other pizzeria, yada yada. And so he puts him there, and weird shit starts happening. In the background, we know, or sort of as is built up over the course of the film, Mike also used to have a younger brother who was abducted when he was young. And Mike sort of like blames himself for it, and has been practicing all this like sort of weird dream hypnosis stuff, trying to have these like lucid dreams so that he can see and remember more of his brother's abduction in hopes that he's going to like solve the case. That's the sort of like main narrative arc. You then have the Freddy stuff where basically there was a bunch of kids who disappeared from this Freddy's pizzeria. They are now inhabiting as spirits, ? The animatronic animals.
I have so many questions.
Well, so the animals
They're
move
like
around.
they're like child Cenobites, basically.
Yeah, that's actually that's a very good comp. I think that's actually what they in the production meeting they were like, how do you want these bears to? Or
They're
whatever.
definitely Cenobite. Like once they started showing the mechanisms that like trap you in it, I'm like,
Yeah,
this is a little
it's a
Cenobite-y.
good comp. So yeah, I don't know. Like I was gonna see if I could find the name. They all have names. The names matter. The names very much mattered to the teens that I was seeing the movie with.
It didn't matter to me, John.
The other character that's sort of there's a couple other characters that are important. You've got
I like
this-
the
this
Robo one. The
Elizabeth
fox-looking thing.
Lale, yeah, with the one eye. Elizabeth Lale plays Vanessa. She's like a cop that shows up at the Freddy's and is explaining a lot of the backstory.
She's
to
such a movie
Mike.
cop.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Not the most
yes.
convincing casting.
I mean, she was the best looking police officer
Right.
that has ever walked the planet. You also have Mary Stuart Masterson, who plays the aunt of both Mike and Abby, and she's trying to like take Abby away. So that's where a lot of the
Random
sort of
Mary
tension
Stuart
and
Masterson in
drama.
2023.
Yeah, the drama here is supposed to come from this issue of like Mike doesn't want to lose custody of his sister, but maybe he should, and and he struggles with it. But ultimately, the sister wants to stay with him. The sister does not want to go with the aunt, and yeah. So,
All right, let's just get into this thing. Casey, what do you think?
I'm gonna pull out a old Eric Chestnut for this one and say this was fine. I was entertained, but it's nothing here that's gonna blow my mind. I didn't play the game. I played the first game way back when, and it was not my like gameplay style, and I lost interest after like an hour. Delaney played like the first two games, kind of fell out of it for the same reasons, but she got into the lore and kept up with that. So I've known it tangentially, but yeah, I got kind of what I expected, and I was entertained. I was really excited because Matthew Lillard was in this, and overall, I think I was pretty happy with it. I kind of wish we would have seen more of him, but we're going to see a lot more of him. So I'm okay with it. This, more than anything though, this movie screams franchise movie. It is like telegraphed from end to end that they are aiming for as many movies as they can for this.
I know when I think franchise, I think child abduction ring.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's the
But-
kind of thing I want to come back to
Well,
year after year.
They've
Casey-
been selling these games though, so
I was gonna say, how many games has there been? Because like I thought there were like 4 or 5.
there are, and there's comic books, and they're
No, I looked it up. It looked like more than that.
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot.
9 or something. There's like spin-offs.
So
and,
obviously, like
And for instance, what I'm told is like Vanessa is a character from the latest game, which was Security Breach or something, which is like a totally offshoot thing, and they brought her in from that game into this. I don't know. So I mean, that's like a big change from there, but it's interesting just to see how they're putting this together for the movies, and off of this existing lore, and just from talking to my daughter, who's 23 by the way, so she's, not just a teenager, and she's been watching.
Well, she kinda grew up with
me,
it.
but she grew
Yeah.
up with it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's probably the age that
she's not, like,
this
pissed
hits
off
the
at it.
most. That's
Yeah.
honestly probably the age that this hits the most, where like a young adult who grew up with it but can now go see. Well, this wasn't R-rated, right? It couldn't have been.
no, it's
No, it's PG.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
like a young adult who has all that
No.
nostalgia from the last 10, 15 years of games.
Well, it might have, probably PG-13, but there
it's
was no
definitely
blood,
PG-13.
hardly any blood
Yeah.
at all.
Okay. John.
But yeah, that's the biggest takeaway with Delaney, who grew up with this, 23. She was not like pissed off at them at the end of this movie. She had some stuff she was still like working through, but she wasn't like irate. So I mean, it's a good sign.
Sure.
I mean, look. So as I said at the top, I saw this in the movie theater. I think I texted you guys because I saw this. I saw this at 3:15 on a Friday. What did not occur to me when I was booking the ticket is that is when all of the kids are getting out of school. So literally, I'm walking into this theater and I'm like, wow, there are a lot of kids here. And I realized like they're all going to my screening. It was like a fucking, I don't even know what's a thing. It was like a football game for nerds.
I love John. I'm not gonna lie. I love that for you.
Here's what I'm going to say. I might surprise you. I had a much better time with this movie because there were these kids acting super rowdy and
Yeah,
just
that doesn't surprise me. I
like
get it.
hooting and hollering. I mean, I didn't know what was happening half the time,
Which is
and
crazy because this movie is boring.
It's pretty boring. I tend to agree.
For a movie about
Objectively,
killer animatronics, kind of boring.
yeah, it's objectively not very good. These kids where it was their Super Bowl. It was like
I heard there were a bunch of YouTuber cameos. I didn't recognize anyone, but apparently people were like going nuts for that.
They flipped out. I think I was texting you, and Casey confirmed. So it's the taxi driver is a guy named like Carrie or Corey, I think.
Oh, that makes sense because that scene, like, why is that even in there? Now I
Right.
understand.
Well, and he comes back. There's a post-credit scene that he's in.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the waiter at the diner, they went nuts. I thought the waiter at the diner was the game developer, maybe,
That's really funny.
Yeah.
but I think it was another.
See, I watch
YouTuber.
YouTube, John, but YouTube's like algorithm based, so I'm just on like old man YouTube.
Yeah, you're not getting the Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop this in here since you're talking about the YouTubers, but I was told many times that Markiplier was supposed to be the security guard at the beginning, but he's filming his own horror movie
Now-
called The Iron Lung.
Now that dude I probably would have recognized, or if like PewDiePie showed up, or like those old,
Yeah.
like those dudes are old at this point though. That's why I
Is
would recognize
PewDiePie
him.
still like a thing? I thought.
Yeah.
Didn't he get
Unfortunately.
sort of like he like said Nazi
He
stuff. and then-
survived, John.
Interesting. So all right, Casey's point, like, I think, but let's put it this way: I think everyone has been shocked by how well this movie did. Like, this movie did. It's the fourth
It
largest.
doesn't shock me at all, even if it's bad. Kids love that shit. You ever
Hold
heard
on.
a kid like it's like Pokemon to
But
those
like,
kids.
let's just be very clear: it's the fourth largest opening for a horror movie of all time, like
Really?
in
It's
history.
ridiculous and awesome.
Fourth largest. Like, that's
Good
crazy.
for you know what, John? Good for Matthew Lillard. He deserves a win.
No, I mean, they're making a shitload of money on this thing at this point. So when I say they were surprised, like, I think so. The budget they had listed here is 20. I think they would have been happy for this to get out at like to make their money back. Maybe then the sequels go direct to Peacock. We got to talk about the fact that they put this on Peacock day and date, and it was still the fourth largest open. Like, that's what's crazy to me. Anyone could have just sat home and watched this, but they
Yeah.
didn't.
Man.
So in any event, I would not have been surprised if like this was like sort of a medium hit. You would have gotten like Peacock direct to Peacock releases for the next 5 years. Now, to Casey's point, I mean, I guess they're gonna make a bunch of these.
Oh, they're definitely gonna.
But like, what it like I.
In fact, they almost made it in a way that like they might be surprised because like I know Casey's saying they're setting it up, but like you could have done a much better job of like creating something that would have been a easier yearly franchise than like Child Abduction the movie.
Well,
It goes far beyond. I understand your point, Eric, but it goes far beyond just child abduction, and there's a whole story behind this William Afton guy, and from the lore I was told laid out from the games, it's pretty easy to see how they're going to set up sequels.
hold on. Can I ask, in the games, because when we talk about child abduction, there's two child abduction stories happening here. There's the Josh Hutcher, there's Mike's brother's abduction, which we see that dream sequence.
75 goddamn times.
It's
That was my
crazy.
number one thing I
It's
wanted
truly
to say.
crazy.
It's too
Yeah.
much. I got the point. I figured it out.
So I there's that child abduction. Then there's the fact that the Five Nights at Freddy's like animatronic things are all, kid ghosts of like kids who are murdered. Is that from the game? Is that canon or is that okay? That
Yes.
is all right. Because yeah, I mean, Eric, that's what I was gonna say. Is like you can't write around that if that's what Freddy is. You know, it's like.
There's
Well, listen,
I mean-
I'm sticking to my character tonight, John. I am man who doesn't know anything about this who went to see a movie. And that is where I'm
I'm
coming
just
from.
saying, in the terms of movie franchises, there's a lot of lore here, and there's a lot of story behind why
Yeah,
he's
that's
into
fine.
kids. But and to think as far as setups and stuff too, restaurants have franchises too.
It's true.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Although that brings up some questions that I have now, but I understand what you're saying. Listen, to me, John, man who watched this movie without knowing anything about it, I repeat, it's fucking baffling. Like how no one can just get these animatronic movies right blows my mind. And it's like they're just always throwing in another gimmick it doesn't need, like Nick Cage or this whole. And why can't it just be?
What? Yeah, you got to settle down.
I'm
First of all,
sticking to it. Okay,
what was the gimmick in this one that you didn't think it needed? That's what I'm curious about.
The
Because
whole
I thought the
story.
animatronics though
goddamn
were
story.
good. Like,
Yeah, you know who did them? We talked about it,
yeah,
the Henson Company did
yeah,
them.
yeah, totally.
That's what this movie gets. Okay, here's what this movie gets right. Right out of the gate, synth music. I love it. It is actually pretty atmospheric.
You're so
It-
easy to please with the music.
But it was good. It's atmospheric right out of the gate. I don't know why they made the place so small. I feel like you could have done more spatially with a place that was a little bigger. But
there seems like there were 3 back rooms too.
yeah, like it could have been much bigger. But they nail the animatronics. I like the way they move. I like the glowing eyes. It sucks that it's PG-13. Like I just want to see people get murdered, and there's really like 1 or 2 good kills, and they kind of meh.
I mean, that lady getting bit in half. I was like,
Yeah, but they cut. It's a very PG-13
Yeah.
like cutaway, that kind of thing.
sure.
So it's just not enough of what I want to see out of this movie, which is animatronics killing people. And the story is fine. I like this dude that stars in it. You know, I like a good short king, John. They represent for my people. But like, it's too much story on that. I don't care. Like you see that flashback so many times. And like, I understand the power of repetition, but like, there's a limit on the number of times.
They also
to be fair, I'm a parent, and there was recently a very high profile abduction from a campground 45 minutes north of me that I took my kids to swim at this summer. So like, it's a little on my mind, and like, not really what I want to see in my like feel good, puppet murder movie. But
can I really quick on the backstory? The thing that bothered me almost as much as the number of times you saw the dream is how much they were like hand holding us on the dream mechanics.
Yeah.
They have him reading this book. He explains the dream thing to multiple people. It's just we're not idiots. We've seen a movie before.
It's just way, way, way too much plot for me. I love Matthew Lillard. It's awesome to see him.
He's great.
I wish there was more. Like he basically is in a scene in the beginning and then he disappears until the end. Obviously, if they do make sequels, hopefully he'll be more involved. But like, is he gonna have a suit on? Because I'm like, why is he even there at that point? But I don't understand why you wouldn't make this movie a little broader. Like get enough lore in to suggest there's a larger story. But like, why can't it just be a simpler? I don't know why somebody just can't do this in a simple way that's fun. This movie, I didn't find it very fun as just a casual observer, not knowing the lore or anything, right?
No,
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
I would have
kinda boring.
hated it. I think I would have hated it if I had to watch this by myself in my apartment.
I think at least with an audience, I would have been curious enough because I'm sure they were clapping at things that you're like, what the fuck? What's
they
that?
were
Why
singing.
are they clapping?
They were like singing the song,
Right.
But like making it wasn't They weren't vocalizing the song. They were like humming
So,
together. It
I can
was
definitely
weird.
appreciate that aspect of it. And of course this is not made for me, but we still watched it and I still don't understand any of it because I do think that the concept on itself is and should be entertaining, but I just didn't find this movie that entertaining.
Yeah, it's kind of long too.
Like this whole thing with this cop lady, she doesn't act like any cop. I mean, well, okay, there's a reason for it in the end, I guess, but like it's so silly, the whole cop thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably knew the most about this going into about Five Nights out of the 3 of us going into it. So I definitely had a different experience in that aspect. I knew enough to know who Freddy and Chica was. And
It's just
I
a
had
weird
the
thing
lady
about-
telling me who every was while I was going through too.
But it's a
So-
weird thing about modern meta cinema. Like you bring this up sometimes, John. Like some of the sequels we watch that jump into crazy lore shit with no explanation, and you'll often be like, if you watch this movie in 20 years, how would you have any idea what's happening? And this movie has that vibe for sure.
I also am curious if in 20 years these does it stand the test? Like I guess will they feel the same way? The people watching it. I mean, maybe Casey, you can quiz Delaney about this later, but will they feel about Freddy the way we feel about like Super Mario?
Right. I mean, if you
I
kind
think
of
so, dude.
yeah, I think
don't
it.
know.
No, I
Maybe.
think See, on that point, I agree that like when you see those like bootleg costumes, I remember like 12 years ago seeing bootleg Five Nights at Freddy's costumes in Spirit Halloween before they like had gotten their shit together and were like, you know, merchandising it. And at that point, it probably has become pretty iconic. I mean, I know it has for kids in a way that will probably stick.
I mean, I honestly don't know that I've seen Delaney play a Five Nights at Freddy's game in good like 15
But she
years,
still knows
maybe.
it, right?
She knows it, and I've seen her get excited and buy merch at like Horror Hound and stuff. You know, like seeing a doll or something and get excited about it. It's a thing for those kids, and that's
I like
why
it
I'm
aesthetically.
forgiving of it.
I like it aesthetically. I love all the puppets. Like I said, I love Weird Fox Robot Dude or whatever he is. I was not in any way prepared for the sequence where they're just hanging out and being friends. Like, that's the point in the movie when I texted you guys, what the hell is this movie?
I was not expecting that either.
Like, is that a part of the game? Like, that's
Well-
just strange.
So, can we just talk? Because, like, again, and whether or not this has, we do at a certain point just need to ignore what the fuck is lore and not. I think Eric, you sort of made that point, and you're right. It is so
You gotta
weird.
take it on its face at some point.
And yeah, and like structurally, it makes so little sense. What they had to do, right? Because they had to get to a world where the Freddy band characters were not the bad guys. So they had to like set up this tension with the Abby, because the scene you're referencing, Abby, the younger sister, the 8-year-old, is now like at
It's
work
multiple
with the brother.
scenes where they're playing. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like there's one like core one where she goes and she becomes friends. There's also this like whole setup where Abby has invisible friends, but then all of a sudden now the invisible friends are the kids who were murdered at the Freddy's. And so then the brother is trying to like get her to like talk to them about the abducted brother. It just gets so convoluted with that backstory of what's
Also,
going on
like
in his
the
life.
whole
I honestly
premise,
didn't catch
just
that-
the whole premise of the movie, that this kid had his brother abducted, but then like if I'm to understand correctly, just randomly ended up going to Matthew Lillard to find a job, right? Like that's a coincidence.
Well, he was sent to Matthew Lillard by
Yeah,
like
but
the
that's a
police
coincidence.
people or whatever. More or less, yeah.
Surely.
Yes.
What are the odds of that, John?
Small.
Yeah, I as far as I understand, like the dream sequences and the little brother and stuff like that is definitely created for this movie to tie it all together. I don't remember the security guard even having a name in the first game. I mean, that's
Listen, I
Yeah.
I definitely understand too that you need some kind of character, something to wrap around it. But like honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Spirit Halloween movie is a great 1-to-1. Like that was just a Goonies ripoff, like a bunch of kids on an adventure that end up in this haunted place. That's all you needed. And remember like Carrie Russell's in it and they're like tugging at the heartstrings and like that's all you need.
The problem is, and again, I'm just responding to what is
I like
presented
that I'm
to us in this film.
Monday morning quarterbacking a movie that made like $80 million.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys did not get this right.
It made like 140 worldwide. It's like truly crazy.
I'm like, listen, let me tell you how to do it, Blum. Okay,
but like-
obviously you don't have this figured out.
One of the things, I mean, the reviews ahead of this movie were scathing.
So the audience scores like 90% or so, or 80
Yeah.
something, and the critic scores like 20 something.
It's a really, really big delta. No, the point I was going to make, because you're right. Like there's a version where you just have like some kids like fucking around and like show up at the Freddy's, and then they sort of have to like uncover the Freddy's backstory. I think it needed to be an adult. I think you needed, because of the nature of child abduction, yada yada, like it needed to be an adult central character who was uncovering this backstory.
Oh no, that I get, yeah.
And so, because there is a simpler version of this movie that I think is more fun. They do try. I give them some points for trying to get the body count up, but this is the other issue. I think that when we say the movie's boring, there's basically, I think it's 3 people get sort of gruesomely attacked by the Freddy's characters. But after that, I'm trying to think. Does anyone else get killed for the rest of the movie?
People
that
get
happens.
attacked and hurt, but nobody. I don't think anybody.
Well,
dies.
yeah, because then you have Mike who's like fighting with them at one point. But that happens like very early on. It's like the end of Act 1, or sort of like right at the beginning of Act 2, I guess you might say, when they're this like whatever the chuckleheads are breaking into. What are they? I can't remember. Oh, they're breaking in.
They're breaking in to
Mike
get him
loses his job.
To get him to lose his job because Mary
It's
Stuart
so convoluted.
Because Mary Stuart Masterson paid them to do it because she wants the custody of the sister.
So first of all, my biggest problem with that is they showed up after he left work. So he probably would have clocked out or something, and then they show up and break in afterwards. Your plan is flawed from the beginning.
Well, when the cop shows up at his house, she's like, "You left the door open. They're gonna fire you now." So what? I mean, I agree with you, Kate. It was a pretty idiotic plan, but that they did try to at least explain that. I don't know. I didn't understand, and like whatever. We don't need to get into this, but how much money was Mary Stuart Masterson gonna get from having this daughter? Because it didn't seem like Mike was thriving, and they didn't live in like some luxurious
meanwhile,
situation.
She's tossing around $1,000 just for, like. Well, she seems to be doing okay.
Well, it's funny.
Like a freight train.
They at one point she's giving them like $200 to like give her information. I don't know. I was just like, these criminals got to be really hard up if they're selling this dude out for $200.
I thought $1,000 was not that much to risk, like breaking and entering a felony.
Yeah.
Right, for 3 people. I
don't know. It's a very depressed town. This Freddy's is.
It was nice to see her though. I was thinking about that movie that she was in with Eric Stoltz that I can't remember the name of. Some Kind of Wonderful.
Some Kind of Wonderful.
That's what it was. Boom.
That scene at that diner got one of the bigger laughs from me though, because the lawyer in that scene was cracking my ass up.
That dude's my favorite. He's my favorite character in the movie. Yeah,
I agree. He was funny.
I shouldn't be hearing it.
Even the scene that he's in when they're in the like, I guess it's like child care specialist, whatever, like the custody specialist office. He's like a cartoon character.
For sure.
The whole movie could have had like just 10 to 20% more of that vibe, in my opinion. Like there's like
I don't mind that they went straight up. Like that was kind of my beef with the Nick Cage one. Is it's trying way too hard to be campy and making something that isn't that. And so actually, like I do kind of weirdly like that they took a serious swing because it does make it goofier, but it's just a lot.
Yeah.
I was at one point texting John just live updates during the movie. And at the point that I was like, wait, who's this 80s lady? Why do I know her? John was like, I'm trying to make dinner for my children right now.
Just leave me alone. Casey knew exactly who we were talking about, though. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I looked it up, too. I know IMDb, John.
Yeah.
There was a brief period in my wife Colleen's life in high school that she kind of looked like Mary Stuart Masterson back in the Some Kind of Wonderful days. So I know my Mary Stuart Masterson.
Casey's familiar.
Took you back. Yeah. I mean, so... Casey, you think they're going alternate locations / like I don't know, like you need the characters, right? Like the characters, like the Freddy, the fucking animatronics are the whole thing.
So the first thing I can tell you just from the info dump that I got from Delaney after watching this, that we've not seen all of the animatronics. There are other ones that haven't.
Yeah, I saw that they introduced them more in the other.
There was like one in pieces, but then she told me that there's a sister site somewhere too, and there's a lot in the lore behind this. William Afton is essentially he's kind of like a mad scientist, occultist or something. I don't know if it's occulty or not, but he is essentially trying to make himself immortal, is why he's doing this with the animatronics. And then there's talk of that, like the game version, which is a little bit grittier than what we're seeing in these movies because of the PG-13. She was telling me that if they stuck to that, the kids' bodies are still in those suits.
Well, they said that in the movie.
Yeah,
they did say it. Yeah,
it's the war and peace of our times, John.
Yeah. Oh, you just made me. There was another question I was going to ask based on. I'm going to forget now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
There's also a golden Freddy at some point that shows up that's like a good version of Freddy. Freddy.
That also gets or maybe I don't know if it got referenced or people in my theater were shouting, "Where's Golden Freddy?" or something along those lines. The other thing that they flipped the fuck out about.
I love this report from the field, John. This is the best.
They flipped out about whatever. So one, I didn't read any reviews, but all of the like headlines of the reviews were like jump scares galore or something. I didn't think any of the
No.
there were no jump scares. Like it literally was like,
not a single one. Yeah, I mean, pretty weak.
The Nun 2 would have been embarrassed that
The
any
Nun
of these
2
things were
got
being
me a
called
couple
jump
times.
scares. Yes.
The Nun 2 got me.
But there is the like, it's like a little bobblehead thing that's in a locker, and then that's what shows up in
Boy.
Yeah, so they were losing it, the kids, over what's it called, Moon Boy?
Balloon Boy.
Oh, Balloon Boy. Okay. I mean,
I
you
had-
would have thought Balloon Boy was the most important part of this game, the way they were behaving.
Hey, Delaney had a lot of comments on Balloon Boy going through the movie too, as in she's like, "I hope they do this. I hope they do this."
That's the little
apparently
floaty
there's
head
a lot
thing?
more to him. Yeah.
That's
No.
the floaty head
No,
thing.
little guy
That's
in
Cupcake.
That's Cupcake.
Oh, the one that was deactivated in the locker.
Yeah.
No, Balloon
The
Boy
little
is,
tiny one in the locker.
It's just like a little. It's like a little bobblehead that shows
Oh,
up.
the when he opened it up and jump scared himself.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
And then that's what's in
supposed to be
the
alive too.
that's in the post credit sequence as well. That's what the cab driver, it like shows up and it's like sitting on his seat.
I'm also told Cupcake that was a part of Chica, and so she could make it attack people, but it didn't like free roam on its own.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel dumber after having this discussion.
No, I'm bringing up the lore a lot,
Okay.
and you guys are. I mean, I understand your guys' point. You got to take this at face value at some point. But to me, I'm still willing to take this in with all the lore behind it because it feels apparent that they are making this for that crowd that grew up with Five Nights at Freddy and the kids that are still playing it. And I think that's fine.
I'm
It
not gonna
worked.
lie to you.
It was a good idea.
Watching a movie like this and seeing how good, like, it really makes me fear for like what movies will look like in 20 years. And I'm not joking. That's my hottest old man take. Like,
I don't, but Eric, hold on. We have this conversation every time there's like one of these kind of, let's call them entry level horror.
no. But it's like it's as if it's speaking another language of film that I don't know, and that scares me, John.
I
don't
see
like
that.
things I don't know.
Fair enough. My point was going to be like, I do think the hope that I take away is that, you know, of all of these kids that are in this theater with me, they go home, they're like, huh, that was fun. Like, I would like to find another horror movie that is not a steaming.
I have another rant.
Oh boy. All right.
Speaking of language of film, it is time that we as a society reclaim the stab scene, okay? Because it used to be, John, when we were kids, that when someone got stabbed in a movie, the way that stabbing was shot and shown to you would signal you one of two things. If you didn't really see it that much, or you very distinctly saw it like hit an arm or something, that was a filmmaker going, you know what? Like, that character's probably going to come back. So here's leave a little tension, right? You saw somebody get stabbed straight up in the gut. That was like, and you saw it directly. That was movie language for that person is dead. So you should be sad.
Yeah.
And I'm being me, but that's important. It's important for like unspoken film language to let you know when to feel things, like to be sad because a character might die. The two modern Scream movies are atrocious for this. We see a character just straight up stabbed directly in the stomach, and I knew she was going to be alive. I knew it. John,
They're playing with you. This is
No.
in the filmmaker's
no.
mind. They're like toying.
there
with
are
the
ways to do
conventions.
it that are not like cheating, and that's cheating.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can't survive that, dude. I'm not.
I
like,
never
this
knew you
Scream
felt this
bullshit.
strongly about the stab scene. This is good. Now we're really getting somewhere.
The last two Scream
Progress
movies
here.
have really made me upset about it because they've had.
Apparently.
Because here's what it is, John. There's got to be subtle language to tell me if I should feel sad or not. because I've seen enough movies. If you're just like double crossing me, then I'm not going to feel so.
Yeah.
Scream specifically asked me to mourn characters that I've known and loved for like 20 years, and then brought them back after they were clearly dead.
No, I agree. That's
and
that's
this is not
garbage.
quite that egregious, but I'm a little on edge with it now, John. I'm just asking for some agreed upon visual language for stabbing, please.
Now that you've brought up stabbing, the other thing I wanted to just touch on briefly, not related to the film, unfortunately, but we're on tangents. I saw the Thanksgiving trailer in front of this movie.
Into it?
Looks great. I was like, I don't watch the trailers that much, but when I'm at the theater and like, what are you gonna like close your eyes? Have you seen it, Eric? I know Casey texted.
Maybe. I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of disassociate during trailers because I don't want to see them.
Look, I am.
So Eric does close his eyes.
I do sometimes, yeah. I'll take a little mini nap.
I love your ability to just like disassociate and not
Sometimes
visually process
sometimes it comes in
information.
handy, John.
Yeah.
At least I should get some superpower out of it.
Look, I reserve the right to say that it was not good. Obviously, when we see it, I mean that's what we're here for. But
No, you must commit.
I thought the trailer it got me pretty excited. It's like Scream meets Valentine's, or what was it? Not Valentine. Yeah. What's the
Valentine's Day?
Yeah, is it called Valentine's Day? The one with the like
3D?
minor. Yeah, My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody
yeah.
Valentine.
Yeah. It's like that.
Casey
It's
had
like
me
that
convinced.
meets Scream versus I don't know. I was pretty into it.
All right. I like it. You got me excited, John. I didn't get any trailers. On Peacock, you just get like 3 minutes of commercials, which is strange.
Yeah. Go back to the movie real quick. That is the problem because I think my problem with this movie, to your guys' point, taking this on its face value, it's pretty obvious that they pay shitloads of attention to the Five Nights at Freddy lore that exists, and all the stuff that they've added on there is surface level at best. I mean, because we've seen that flashback of his brother getting kidnapped 4 or 5 times throughout that movie.
10.
We never do find out anything about where the sister came from. I mean, we know where sister, but there's no mention of it, and there is a brief throwaway line that mom died a couple years ago.
Yeah, the timeline of the parents not being around. The dad, I think, is alive because he makes it sound like the dad like kind of took off and couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
but then the
that was my
mom
take.
died. But yeah, the timeline of like when and where the sister comes from, I agree, is super weird because I mean she's fully 20 years younger than him, which it's not impossible biologically, but it's not common. So.
But she was such a
don't know.
central part of the movie, of the plot of the movie too. Maybe by happenstance because they ended up in there, but we find out it's not necessarily happenstance because they may have. By the end of it, we've already spoiled the shit out of things.
Yeah.
They threw in that William Afton kidnapped his brother all those years ago, and it's a throwaway line.
That was the weirdest sort of like what the
Yeah.
fuck to me. I agree.
That was just thumbtacked in for sure.
Can I tell you my favorite part of the movie?
No.
It's the new Blumhouse logo that has Michael Myers in it.
Yeah.
The like little
They've been
cinematic
using
intro.
that. They've been using
I
that
haven't.
for a
I
little
guess I
while.
just forgot because there's a couple characters in there. I missed the other
Yeah.
ones, but
No, they've that's like the newer one. They've probably been using it like 2 years, I would guess.
and then I was like, do they even own that Michael Myers anymore? Like, I wonder how long they can use that for.
I'm sure it's a license deal. Yeah.
He's in Fortnite now, John.
Cool. There was a guy,
It is pretty
dad,
cool.
out with like younger kids wearing like a pretty gnarly Michael Myers mask last night.
Over the course on Sunday, I saw like a 6-year-old kid dressed up as Jason with a bloody shirt, and I'm like, I see you, dude. You're cool. It's my vibe.
That kid
All
gets it.
That's right. Would you recommend Five Nights at Freddy's, John?
No.
Casey?
I'd say yes. Just keep in mind it's made for tweens.
If you're old and cranky like me, I think the only way to recommend it is if you really like Matthew Lillard, but just understand he's not in most of it.
Dude, yeah, wait for the sequel. I would say I actually recommend this as a sociological experiment if you're going to go to the theater with the twins.
Yeah.
Although I tend to think this thing's going to like kind of fall off a cliff. You have to assume everybody wanted to see it. Maybe they're going to go again. I don't know, but
I give them credit for the marketing and the timing. It certainly worked out.
well, that's the other thing. And again, I read a bunch about because I care about the box office stuff, but this is like a dumping ground. Usually the weekend of Halloween is like not the good weekend for
Right,
the
you
big
want
Halloween movies.
first or like middle of the month or something.
Well, that's why The Exorcist flop was like so egregious because Universal had both of these and gave this one the shitty weekend and gave Exorcist the good weekend, and Exorcist like just completely face palmed.
Is that why they released it on Peacock the same day as it released in theaters? Because that seemed kind of a surprise to me.
I have not heard a
Thank
good
God.
explanation for that at all. So,
But it
yeah,
did come out of nowhere, didn't it? That they were dropping it on both. It wasn't announced, was it?
I don't think it was I don't know that it was I know it was on like posters in New York City, like some of the digital stuff said like in theaters and on Peacock. That's what I texted you guys like Thursday morning, I think, and was like, it seems like this thing's gonna be on Peacock, and you all were like, oh, nice.
I got so
That's what I'm
excited.
saying.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd heard of it. I thought maybe it was because usually you hear those at least a month in advance.
Honestly, any other weekend, I would have been like fine and went, but I was so busy with Halloween and the kids, and like it just was easier.
Well, that's why the Halloween date is usually a shitty date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. I'm going no. Did I say that? I don't know. All right.
yeah.
Let's do some fan mail.
Don't forget Slack.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com.
Wouldn't want to
or
offend
on
Tom
Twitter
David.
using hashtag AskBGH.
Never gonna let him live it down.
Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
John, how many times have you listened to my new song?
Maybe like 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, that sounded sincere. Was that real?
Yeah, no, that was real.
Well, good look at you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
It was mostly that same day that I texted you about it.
I only make music for your validation, John.
Okay,
So
good.
I
Well,
appreciate that.
I got bad news for you. No,
I have a thing for emotionally unavailable people, John. What are you gonna do?
there you go.
All right. We got an email from Caitlin here. She's upset at me. Do not besmirch Neil Blomkamp when I have asked many times for y'all to watch Oates Studio. It's these incredible shorts that he did. He's still great. Stop being lazy and watch. If you have, disregard. Which part?
Disregard
though, Caitlin?
being
disregard.
called lazy.
Disregard that I should watch it or that I'm lazy. I'd like a clarification on that, please. She also wrote, and this is a good one, episode 378. So for context, we're in like the 730s right now, I think. So that's, for many years
It's
ago.
been a while ago.
Episode 378, The Darkness, Eric, quote, should I watch Deadwood? Episode from this year, Chad Gets the Axe, Eric, quote, so guess what I started watching?
Wow,
It
I
only
can't
took me
believe you found that.
400 episodes.
There you go.
Kismet, John. She was in that place. I just started watching Succession again after kind of just finishing it. It's like the best thing I've ever seen.
It's really good.
So damn good.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we're going to read questions on Slack, John.
Okay.
I have been requesting people help me out lately on Slack, and then Tommy accused me of not reading them. So I'm going to read all of them tonight, John.
Oh boy, how many are we talking? Can we go quick speed round?
No, I'm just kidding. It's not that many. Let's see.
Okay.
Tommy, question. Why do you never read the questions we post here on the show?
Asked and answered. Moving along.
From Jody, does the BGH crew want to do a meetup at Billy Bob's Wonderland in Barbersville, West Virginia, home of the last remaining Rock-afire explosion show? If I'm ever in the area, I'm absolutely going. So John, this is a good segue because a lot of these questions are related. You're an East Coaster, so you must have had Chuck E. Cheese and not Showbiz Pizza.
Correct.
I believe Showbiz was like a west of the Mississippi, like kind of thing.
There was a podcast episode that I listened to from, I'd have to look up what show. It was really good, but it was about this question of like the competing animatronic
Well,
pizza
so what
joints.
happened eventually was Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, so here's why I know this. I've shouted this out years ago on the show. Mark and I were both really into this. There's like a fan documentary called Rocket Fire Explosion. And it is specifically about people so attached to like the Showbiz Pizza band that they like
recreate it.
Found a way to basically find old figures and like revive them. And like the dude who originally created them had a few left in the warehouse, and he would like sell them to fans just to like sell them off because he still owned the rights to it. If you love like people that are so into something that it's simultaneously depressing and inspiring, that it's like the sweetest thing you'll ever find in that lane. Because I'm East Coast, I didn't even know about honestly Showbiz Pizza until I saw the documentary. But I did go to Chuck E. Cheese a bunch as a kid, and I remember it being kind of terrifying, honestly.
It didn't terrify me, but I can understand why. I mean, look, it's why this Freddy's thing.
It's why it
works,
exists, because
right?
it's just terrifying on his face. Yeah. Do you remember the little mouse holes like under the stage that you could like crawl in and out of?
No.
So it was like the stage was high, right? And then the underneath they had like it was like a little maze that kids could crawl around in.
Oh, I don't know
like,
if I
walk
ever went
into a
in
little
there.
mouse house kind of thing.
Casey, did you have either Chuck E. Cheese or the Showbiz Pizza?
Yes, we had Showbiz, but you had to drive all the way to South Bend for it.
No.
Interesting.
To get there.
Okay.
So that was like special for birthday parties.
I just mapped Barbersville, West Virginia, and it is 10 hours drive from New York, and that's going to be a no for me, dog. So, sorry, Jody.
Yeah, I mean, for a thing I don't have any nostalgia for specifically. Okay, John, the next question is from Tommy.
Oh, Tommy.
Tommy,
we got you, Tommy.
2 questions, actually. What are your favorite movies based off video games?
The kids in this theater that I was in were acting like Eric watching a Resident Evil film. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Resident Evil ones are fun. There's something we saw that I remember being like, hey, this actually did it, and it's really good, and I just couldn't tell you what it is right now. I don't know.
There's been the Super Mario. Where did you guys land on Super Mario?
Super Mario was pretty good.
See, I thought it was bad.
Yeah.
I
was okay with it.
I thought it was a really safe shot, but I thought it was good.
It was safe to the point of being kind of bad, was my feeling.
I was Mario. I was kind of.
But it stayed
the same
faithful
place
to
as I
it.
was with this. It's
But
fine.
it stayed faithful to it, which is always what games screw up. Like or what movies screw up is they are overthinking it when all people want to see is the thing. That's why it almost surprises me that they like change so much in this. Like, why wouldn't you? If I'm old and not gonna understand it anyway, why wouldn't you just give the kids the thing fully? Like, that's the part I don't get, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been a bunch, and I have not seen these, but Uncharted was last year, I think.
Yeah.
I've heard that actually. Yeah, I've never played the game, but I've read like medium good reviews on it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised they haven't made. I'm surprised they haven't made a Mass Effect movie, except for the fact I guess that Mass Effect is mostly just cribbing a bunch of other like good sci-fi movies, I guess. But
sorry, you guys got my brain all scrambled with the Mario talk because I'm at that stage at the moment where if somebody mentions Super Mario Brothers, my brain goes straight to Wonder.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played it yet, but
it's good stuff.
All right, next question.
I'm pretty sure Santa's we're going to be bringing it for.
Next question from Tommy: favorite video games based off of movies?
Oh,
I don't even know what he says. The answer is GoldenEye.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I played the shit out of the Matrix Path of Neo on the PS2. You could slow down time and kick and shoot people, and that was.
You know what? I played a bunch in college. There was a Matrix game. What was it? I guess it I don't think it was the one you're talking about, but it like came out with maybe the second movie, and there was like a hacking thing in it. Do you remember this? Where you
I'm
had to
sure
like
there was.
hack.
So the game that I played, it came out between 2 and 3, and it was supposed to basically track of it was actual real like canon events that happened between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And you go back and forth between playing either Jada Pinkett Smith or one of the other like random dudes. And then
It was
and
Enter the
you're-
Matrix. I think we're talking about the
and
same
maybe
game.
the Matrix. Path of Neo is the sequel. That's right.
Okay, Enter the Matrix is definitely the game I was playing.
Yeah, but I played so much of that game. It's great.
Yeah, I played a lot of that game too.
It was probably
It
terrible.
was.
I just remember being like, slow down time, spin kick. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. That was one where
You know what? Oh, I have an answer for the last one too.
You had a J or two, and you would be having
Right.
a really nice time with it.
I really liked the Mortal Kombat movie. I thought they actually did a pretty good job of making that thing work.
really like is strong.
I like Mortal Kombat a lot, John. So
Yeah, no, I know you do. So, but yeah,
yep. There you go, Tommy. I hope you feel better. My question: if Chuck E. Cheese offered an adults' night with drinking, would you go? I think you could get. So I
You
was
can
at
buy beer there.
my 5-year-old just had her birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. It was her request, and basically, from what I could tell, there's what they've turned them into. They're basically like bootleg Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
Like, there's no band anymore, and they're not as big as a Dave and Buster's, but it's the same kind of game. It's like the kind of games you'd see on mobile, whatever. And there's a lot of like you have a little card that's what your tickets go on, which I'm not. I want the tickets to like shoot out at me, John. I don't understand
yeah.
the digital ticket thing, but trees, I get it, but whatever. I thought it was fun. She loved it. I was just amazed that they're still around.
There's a huge one between like in North Jersey, like when we're on the way to going up to our house, that we'll pass, and it's like the whole ground floor of a mall kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll stop sometime, I'm sure.
This is a really good one. Wait, no, I lost it. Damn it. Hold on. Stand by. See, the problem is John,
Compelling
people are
audio.
just chatting. Here you go. From Natalie. True or false? Chuck E. Cheese puts together pizzas from uneaten slices of multiple pizzas. I remember us doing a deep dive on that conspiracy when we found out about it years ago. Well, so I'm at the party.
Probably is what I.
And we're all talking about it because we all had seen it, and we're like, all right, we're gonna like sleuth out this pizza. How about this for conspiracy, John? 5 minutes before the pizza's supposed to come out, the power went out, and all the parties had to leave, and we got the party for free, but we never got to look at the pizza.
Wait, what? You're saying because you were sleuthing, then the power went out?
I'm just asking the question.
Just
John.
asking questions. Yes,
Yeah.
I got you. All right.
That's
fair
all I'm
enough.
here.
Well, somebody had mentioned that they used to work on Slack. Mentioned they used to work at Showbiz. I think one of the two. And somebody asked them because it's a rumor that, and I've heard that like a urban legend that they put pizzas together from the leftover pieces.
Yeah,
from-
John Oliver did a whole special on it. That's where
Yeah.
it like blew up. Yeah.
And they were the person confirmed that was like day one training. It was like, and here is how you assemble the pizza from the remnant pizzas. It's so
Remnant
gross.
pizza is disgusting. Okay, Casey, what do we got on whatever platform you're on today?
We got a couple threads out there this week. First one from a regular, the drummer from Foghat. What did you all go as for trick or treating?
I did not dress up. My daughter wanted me to, but I'm not a dress up kind of guy, John.
Yeah, I didn't dress up either, but I did carry a bag that had several beers in it
Nice.
and had a nice time.
Alcoholic dad was your costume?
Yeah, it's just like dad with no self-control.
Right.
Yeah,
Just trying to
Yeah.
get through the day, dad.
exactly. It's not a costume.
I haven't done a costume since pandemic screwed things up, but I do like to open the door in my killer clown mask.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had a pretty effed up mask on. So.
Yeah, but it was that mask and me in my cardigan and sweatpants. So
That's like you. Yeah, that's like you fit your CPAP and sleep in that mask sometimes.
yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
I did have some good reactions to the killer clown masks. So
That was pretty scary.
Next one at Metal Prof. If you had to be locked in overnight at a fast food franchise with no communication with the outside world, which would you choose? Skyline Chili is a valid answer.
Like, what's my favorite fast food place? That's great. I mean, I haven't eaten fast food in years because I can't.
Honestly,
Oh,
with my
man.
the way my body reacts to Skyline Chili, if we got locked in there, I
It
could
would
blow
go
us
bad.
out.
Well, right, because I was thinking Taco Bell, and then I'm like, how much is that? How long is that fun for? 20 minutes, and then you're like
Exactly.
dying. Because at least go with a place with games. I mean, it might be Chuck E. Cheese, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Dave and Buster's.
I mean, years ago we talked about this, but I had never had White Castle in my life until Horror Hound Weekend Indianapolis when they had a literal tower of
good.
White Castle burgers.
Yeah.
And there is somewhere like a fairly inebriated picture of me just disgustingly eating hamburgers.
Oh,
Like,
you had it
was-
before that
amazing.
tower of burgers, though. You had the first one you had was in the back seat of my car after I picked you up from the airport.
And the worst thing is the onions. Like, they're so good, but you just smell so foul after.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you
there's
smell
no
like
way
it for
around
days.
it. Oh my god, they're so good. And then I went home. I was living in Florida, and I discovered that you could buy the frozen ones, and I
Yep.
started buying Crave cases frozen.
Good
They
Lord.
were good too.
We still
I
get
would
the
go. I think I would go Wendy's.
yeah. Our
If I'm
Wendy's is
picking like just
terrible,
classic
unfortunately.
burger joints, I'm going like if we're not talking modern ones, I'm going Burger King. Weirdly, that's the one I always liked.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd go for no other reason than the fact that they have a shitload of peanuts. I'd go Five Guys, and I like.
Yeah,
peanuts.
that's what I'm saying. No, that doesn't count because that's like real food. Like I think I'm a mayo person, John. I don't know if you know this about me, but I always would get the Whopper as a kid because it's just like mayo all over it.
Just slathered in mayo. I know.
Yeah. No, when I was a kid, I'd be like, listen, no lettuce or tomato, please. Thank you. I don't want anything healthy on this. Pickles are fine.
Mayo burger.
Mayo's the best.
It is. All right, last one. Kalinat. If you had to choose between watching this or Willy's Wonderland again or the actual Chuck E. Cheese band for 90 minutes, which way are you going?
The actual band.
No way. What?
I didn't like that Nick Cage movie at all.
But what did they have, like 3 songs? Dude, you'd go crazy after.
Nah, come on. They had some deep cuts. They must have.
No.
I gotta say too, based on that Rock-afire documentary, that band was way more terrifying. Like way more terrifying.
Yeah. I'm going to
Yeah.
break from the list here because we haven't mentioned it yet, and I did tweet it out to you guys after I finished the movie, but I'm going to break away and say I'll rewatch the Banana Splits. It's animatronic.
I guess I
yeah,
never.
I
I'm
haven't
not
seen
sure I
it.
saw that one. I don't think we did.
I didn't
We
see
did
it.
it.
Yeah. No, I don't think we
No,
did.
we
I
didn't.
haven't seen it.
We
I
did the
think
Nick Cage
you
one.
watched it.
I thought for sure we did it, but we've seen it a number of times now.
The
Yeah, I don't
Banana
think we did
Splits
it.
movie. No, we definitely didn't do this. I'm like looking at it now.
All right, we got anything else, Casey?
That is it.
One on Twitter. We got 2 on Twitter, but it's redundant with the one you just read. Lord Zombie, you got 1 token left for the arcade. What are you playing?
Man, I used to spend a lot of time when I was little trying to figure out what was the game I could play the longest for the quarter. That was usually my go-to. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game and the Simpsons game were both pretty high on the list.
Ninja Turtles. It would be mine. Yeah.
Turtles in Time,
That game is gorgeous. I love that
four
game.
joystick one, so good.
The best Krang ever at the end of that game.
I think I spent $20 beating it one time.
$20. What a
Just-
racket.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, it's like
And then
the
it's
scene
like-
from Wayne's World when he's talking about the Noah's Arcade guy is talking about running the arcade. It's true.
Nowadays, I'm probably going Ms. Pac-Man. That's kind of my jam. But I went through a phase in my like 20s where I was like way into Time Cop. Or is it Time Cop?
No, Time Crisis.
Time Crisis. Those games are fun
Yeah.
as hell.
There was that. There was the one called like Police Trainer. Did you ever play that? That was a little older.
Yeah.
The other game that I
Any of those
loved was
giant screen Lycon games were a ton of fun.
Bust a Move.
I
The
don't know.
one
Oh, yeah.
the one that turned into Snood. They made like the knockoff Snood game. Do you remember when we were in like the early 2000s.
It's also
that
known
was
as
like a-
Puzzle Bobble.
that was a
yeah,
browser
yeah.
game, right? That was like a
Snoop
flash
was.
game. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I remember that
Um,
happening in my college dorm.
Yeah, that it like went crazy when we were in
Yeah,
college. But it was Neo Geo. It was like the cabinet maker, and it was like a Bubble Bobble. I don't know, extension.
There was a sick Neo Geo at my local Pizza Hut. That was really cool.
The Neo Geo cabs were cool though, because a lot of them you had a choice of like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Cool-
It was usually
Cool
like
fun fact, John, about those Neo Geo cabinets is that the home version and the arcade version used the same cards. They were
Yeah.
these enormous, like this big plastic cards.
That's why when the Neo Geo systems came out for home, they were like a couple grand, weren't they?
They were very expensive. Yeah, it was basically just arcade hardware. All right, is that it? Oh no, I'm asking that question myself. That's
Yeah,
it for
that's you, bud.
Twitter. Let's go to Instagram. Okay. Blah 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 blah. What do we got here? Guess Hell House LLC Origins next week. Also, did you count all the YouTuber cameos? That's from Emprezia. Now, I don't think John's seen any of the Hell House movies, so I doubt we're going to jump in at the prequel.
I was considering. I'm gonna watch one this week. I think I'm gonna try to
Just watch the first one.
Yeah.
The rest are not really worth it. Unless you're like me and just love the first one. You want to keep going, but I know you.
No, it's very.
Polly Muller, would you ever willingly step inside a Chuck E. Cheese, day or night? I just did, friend. They're fine.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's go.
They had a salad bar. That's what blew my mind more than anything. Like, how sketchy do you think the Chuck E. Cheese salad bar is?
It's on the line.
A lot of questions, guys. I appreciate the questions, but stuff we already answered. Did any of you either work at a Showbiz or a Chuck E. Cheese?
Nope.
Closest I got was
Closest I
applying to that Pizza Hut at the Neo Geo cabinet and getting rejected. Never called me back.
I was gonna say the closest I got was working at Pizza Hut through high school.
That would have been great, man. I would have sucked at it though. I'm not great.
It was pretty good.
Manual labor is not my thing, John. I had 2 grocery store jobs and was probably the worst person to ever work at either of those stores.
You would have been fine. They put you on the line to make pizzas at Pizza Hut, and
You just go like-
you're only responsible for like pepperoni and sausage.
Yeah,
Somebody
shit, I
else
could've
doing
done-
the sauce and cheese, and somebody
All
else
right, I
doing the
could have done
veggies.
that. I could be a part of a larger chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite pizza chain?
Ooh.
It's Pizza Hut for me. We had it every Friday night as a kid, so I have an unreasonable amount of nostalgia.
I mean, dude, that's like not even a fair. Like, you can't. None of that shit exists in New York City. At least to my knowledge. Maybe it does.
You
but,
grew up on
Yeah, but
Earth,
we-
John. What was
but
it
we
like when you
didn't-
were on Earth
We
still?
didn't get we didn't get. The only time I really ate a lot of chain pizza was in college, and we would get Papa John's because they delivered 24 hours a day.
Papa John's is trash.
It was fine.
It's
We
the
liked
worst
it.
goddamn pizza on the earth. It's so bad. It makes
Well,
me angry. If you
Again,
can't tell.
even that we stopped ordering once we could like afford the not
you're-
Papa John's. But
if you're gonna order trash pizza, just get Domino's.
yeah, I don't know if they had them. I don't know. I never in college at least. I don't know. And since I've lived in New York, it's like you gotta. There's legitimately 1 million pizza places in New
The
York.
first time I ever had Papa John's, I was on vacation in San Antonio, and I was like, "What is this? Like, this is horrendous."
You know what? I can give you an answer. It's called Two Bros. The Two Bros was like the original. I think it's the original 99-cent slice, which is a thing in New York.
Okay, it's a chain
Um,
though.
Yeah,
A New
there's
York
probably 10 of them. I don't know, something like that.
And controversial opinion, John. If it's what you're in the mood for, Sbarro is fine.
Yeah, Spar's
It's
fine.
not the
We-
same as like a New York pizza, but it's fine.
I don't even like think of that as like a chain because we had a Sbarro, but it was in the mall and it didn't deliver. So it was just like the
Yeah.
only time you got it was when you were in the mall.
It's the chain.
Mine
is
only
the
existed
John,
was
they're
in the mall.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would that not be a chain?
No, you're right. I get that's an appropriate answer. I had forgotten about Sbarro.
We've got a regional chain here, and I don't know if it's Indiana only, but Hot Box Pizza is good stuff.
You know what? I take it back,
I've
John.
never-
The
I've
worst
never heard
pizza that I've ever. There is one pizza worse that I've had than Papa John's, and that is the pizza at my local Asian buffet I used to go to.
Why would you go to an Asian buffet and get pizza?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's on you, bro.
Honestly, because I couldn't. Like when I could eat everything. I didn't know how to conduct myself out in the world, John. It's like, just good that I
No.
can't.
I mean,
Like,
that's essentially.
I would just get a
cafeteria
whole
pizza.
meal of the stuff you're supposed to get there, and then be like, but I'll also have pizza. Like, why not?
No, that's fair. I know that feeling. Yeah.
Same reason why Old Country Buffet, I used to get like a cookie and like dip it into some kind of cake. Cause like, why not?
I love
thought
that.
you were gonna say cheese.
No, like, well, cheesecake. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Last question of the evening. What app or game should they make into a movie?
Huh.
I'm trying to think of stuff that I've even played in the last few years. It's
Yeah, I
kind of
don't know.
insane there hasn't been a Fortnite movie, except I guess the Fortnite movie is like Ready Player One in a way, since it's like kind of turned into the multiverse.
Or
Does it have to be a well? If it's a game in general, and this is an easy one, Baldur's Gate 3. They already got
Yeah.
a story and lore.
I mean, at that point, you're just talking like generic fantasy in some point. I
yeah,
mean,
is it
exactly.
like
not generic,
that's
but-
got to be like a TV show? I feel like.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because
The
it's so
hard p-
dialogue-y and character-y. Yeah.
Well, the hard
Yeah.
part is like dialing something in that makes sense for a film, right? Like that's the trick.
John, what if they made a movie out of those Matrix games?
Didn't they make a show, The Animatrix?
Oh, it wasn't a
Yes.
show, John. It was a compilation of like 12 short animated movies
Yeah, it's
that
like an
came out
anthology.
on DVD before the second and third ones
Gotcha.
that added more lore to the universe.
It's what we would call a show today.
And it's amazing.
I think I
Right.
did
Today,
watch
okay,
it.
fine. Today it would go straight to Apple or something.
Yeah,
like
Yeah, it'd be like that Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
that show is good.
It is.
I mean, it's it's an anthology. It's like hit or miss, but like, man, the good ones are insane. I guess that's it.
Otherwise,
next
all I
week?
play is all I play is Call of Duty Mobile, and
You're still on
those
that game,
movies.
dude.
I haven't been for a while, but I go. Back
I was gonna
every
say, like,
once in a while.
doesn't your dopamine ever just burn out with a game? Because that's what happens to me. It completely overtakes my life, and then I wake up one day and the thought of playing it just disappears.
No, what the beauty of COD Mobile is I can sit down and play like 3 or 4 matches in 20 minutes and unlock a couple stupid things, and I get the dopamine from that.
Right. You get a little bleep bloop in the brain, and
Yep.
yeah, I gotcha.
Next week, we're going to be watching Totally Killer.
What's the elevator pitch on this movie?
Think Back to the Future, but slashery. Starring Kieran Shipka from the Sabrina remake, the bit that was real popular on Netflix the last couple
Or
years.
or Mad Men, a little
Yep,
a little
Mad Men.
television show called Mad Men. It's on Prime, I think.
It is. And it's been out for a couple of weeks, so you listeners probably have seen it, but we're going to dig into it.
Cool. We're past Halloween, John.
We just do whatever we want now.
Let us soothe your souls.
I don't know, guys. I heard Thanksgiving is the new Halloween with this Eli Roth movie.
I don't
might
hear
be.
that, but we'll find out. All right. It's going to do it for the show. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye-bye.